Morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Off our starboard side, looming in the fog, lies Deception Island. And probably in about 20 minutes we will be making our way through the very narrow entrance to Neptune's Bellows. I encourage you to come out on deck and have a look as we pass through the very narrow passageway into the inner caldera. A fair bit of pack ice lying out here outside the entrance. We do have to slow down in the fog and the pack ice, but we will expect to be entering Neptune's Bellows in approximately 20 minutes' time.
That was Matt Drennan, expedition leader. Matt, what's in store for us? This is the second landing of the day. It's the 14th of November. It's a Monday, 1994. What's happening?
Well, we have a lot of pack ice just outside the entrance to Deception Island. Thick fog, so we have to go slowly and see what the conditions bring us. We'll try to sail through the very narrow entrance into the inner caldera of the extinct volcano, provided there is not a bunch of pack ice inside, and then we'll see.
What can we expect inside? What are the highlights if we get in?
Well, there's an abandoned whaling station where we'll hope to land, have a look around. Whaling was very big in the Antarctic in the early part of this century. And then, if we can make it further up inside the crater, we could land at the site where the most recent crater from the most recent eruption in 1969 is.
And this is also Pendulum Cove. Is this where the hot springs are?
There is sometimes some geothermal activity which creates a small amount of hot water here. It's not a hot springs per se, but it is possible occasionally to find a few meters of hot water along the beach, warm water along the beach, where you could take a dip, provided, of course, it's not reliable. Sometimes we go there and it's ice cold, so we'll just have to see.
Before you go, what are the different sizes and names of the icebergs from the smallest to the largest?
Well, with glacial ice, the distinctions go from huge, vast tabular icebergs, which could be the size of, Connecticut, and then proceeding down in size, and there are different terms: vast, huge,
bergy bits,
large,
and
but
growlers.
Then it gets down to smaller pieces. Bergy bits would be considered pieces that are, say, larger than a tractor-trailer truck. And then when you get to be smaller, from sort of the size of a bread truck down, then you call these growlers. And then, of course, completely different from that is the pack ice, which is frozen seawater, not fresh water as the glacial ice is. The pack ice forms each year on the ocean, and we see a fair bit of that here too, and that will be breaking up in the next few weeks.
Welcome to Visions, a series of visits to almost everywhere. I'm your host and fellow traveler, Malsman. It is Monday morning, November 14th, 1994. We are about to enter Deception Island, Hannah Point, and Livingston Island. The sunrise was about 4 a.m. this morning. The sunset will be about 9:30 this evening. And let me just read the quote for the day, the sea quote for the day, before we continue with this episode. It's from Will Durant, and Will said, "Civilization exists by geological consent, subject to change without notice." Thank you, Will. We're about to spend the day putting our boots on, our knee boots on, knee-length boots on, the Wellington-type boots, and taking them off, putting them on and taking them off. I'll tell you right now, it's going to be a very strenuous day. The way we get to shore and back is on Zodiacs. They're small pontoon crafts with outboard motors, Yamaha 50 outboard motors, very quick, and it gets pretty wet. So we're going to be spending the day back and forth between Deception Island, and hopefully a little bit later on in this episode we'll meet with famed Arctic explorer Wally Herbert. So with that said, let's go back to the Explorer and suit up and get ready for our first landing of the day. Take it away, folks, on the Explorer. We're up on the bridge right now. They're navigating. You can hear the sounds of the bridge. Also, just to mention that as we're listening to the captain and as he watches his radar, we must also be aware of the fact that it's very foggy. The visibility is very, very limited. So, and it's a tense time. There's sort of a tension in the bridge right now, making decisions, considering, watching radar, moving back and forth along the bridge, the captain, and every once in a while instructing the man on the wheel. Listening to that now. Also, just painting a picture up here on the bridge, this is an open bridge, which means unless on circumstances do not allow it, we passengers are allowed to come in. So there are about 6 or 7 of us right now on the bridge, just sort of watching and listening and observing and learning. So that's the bridge, the picture of the bridge right now. The bridge, of course, is the wheelhouse. I guess it's also called the wheelhouse. I just had a moment to speak with the captain, again, Leif Skog. And I said, Captain, do you think we'll get in? And Captain Skog says, yes. Folks, we've gotten through the entrance. On the starboard side, as we're looking forward, if we look to our right, we're seeing the entrance, the narrows coming in. We can make out the formation now, the rock formation, and we're coming through, and we're looking at it. And Captain, we have achieved. It was a bit tricky because of the fog. Do you have a moment?
It was difficult to see the entrances. We can't hardly see it now. It's only half a cable away, and we can't see the rocks.
You're
barely see it, yes.
You're very happy right now, aren't you?
Oh, I'm quite happy, yes, sure.
Okay, we're going to be able to land. It's still very foggy out now, but we will be able to make this landing. So we'll listen for the announcement, then we'll meet up again on shore. We have just stopped engines, and here is the announcement we've been hoping for. Matt Drennan.
Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. We have made it through Neptune's Bellows. We only saw one side of the entrance, off the starboard side. Some of you saw the cliffs very close as we passed through the entrance in very, very thick fog. And we are just anchoring now at this time in Whalers Bay. We will be lowering scout boats very shortly, but it looks very good for landing here this morning before lunch. And we expect that we'll be able to begin taking you ashore between 11:15 and 11:30 this morning for an hour and a half or so walk around Whalers Bay. We'll give you a little bit more information in the Zodiacs as we are taking you ashore, but we expect to be able to begin between 11:15 and 11:30. Last Zodiac this morning will be at, actually this afternoon will be at 1 o'clock, 1300, last Zodiac from shore. There will be a chance to do a little bit of walking. Looks like a fair bit of snow on shore, so you probably just want to wear your rubber boots. And we'll do a little hike up to Neptune's window, and perhaps even a little bit higher than that. We would like to ask you to please stay in groups today, because it's very easy to get lost in this fog. Please do not go off by yourself. Please stay in groups today on shore, as it is very easy to get lost, disoriented in the fog. Marshall will give you another call once we are closer to being ready to go ashore. Enjoy your morning.
SSSI, which is a site of especially scientific interest. And they don't want anybody going over there because they're studying these tiny little hydrozoans that like hot water. And so if we go over there, we'll put footprints in it and squish them. So don't go that way, please. Remember, it's easy to get lost in the fog here. Not only that, the fog is compounded by the fact that, see this, how the beach is steaming? It's very foggy. The beach is, all the hot fumaroles are coming up through the sand, and it's very hot along the beach. So you're getting steam and fog together here. So just mind where you are and don't go up and get lost. Wally and I think Matt are going to be hanging around the old Hector whaling station here, interpreting all these buildings. If you want to go for a longer walk, Megan and Larry are going to be going that way, and myself, I'll be going that way too later. There's cliffs down there, and there's pintado petrels nesting there. And you can hike up to this cliff. It's not really a steep hike, but it's just sort of up this loose volcanic gravel. And you can hike up and look down into the nests of these birds. And here they are out here feeding, because when the krill come in, they hit this hot water and they cook. They like turn into like little cocktail shrimp. And then they die and they drift back out, and so the birds pick them off. Take your gloves off and feel the water right at the beach, the surface of the beach. It's very warm. No. This was covered in ash in 1970 by the volcano around the corner here. So all the buildings sort of caught on fire and were demolished. That's a dry dock.
We're looking at the whaling station now, the abandoned whaling station. We were just listening to Kim Robertson, so let's fade out and we'll meet on board. This is a geothermal area, and we got that information from Matt in the bridge. Just let me say that steam is coming at us right now. We're of course, we can't, there's no sound, of course, but the steam is coming at us. The first footprints of the season are in the black sand. This is the black sand, and we'll find out why the sand is black a little bit later on. And again, this is an old whaling station, and we'll get some description later when we come back. Let's move along, and we'll meet up in a little while. It is very foggy. I don't think the visibility, you can almost smell the steaminess. There's an aroma here. I don't think I can see more than maybe 50 yards ahead of me. I can just make out shadows in the distance, about 60, 70 yards, maybe 80 yards down the beach. Again, the sand is black, and the steam is, if we look to our right, there's a steam, a smokiness coming off the water. That's the hot springs. The water is warm. It's not warm. You can swim in it, and it's right near the shore. It's warm. It's nice. Temperature-wise, right now, again, it's about 11:15 in the morning, the 14th of November, 1994. It's a Monday. I would put the temperature right now at somewhere around 30, maybe 32 degrees. As far as animal life is concerned, we're the only animals right now. There are no penguins, there are no seals. We're the only people on this beach, the only living, visible things on the beach anyway. There is, you can hear the quiet as we come up on the human rookery. Larry is speaking, and we're going to get Larry later on. We're missing some of this, but we'll catch him later. But we are the only living creatures that can be seen. Just as we speak, there's a seal. There is a seal here, one. We see one seal.
Well, we're saying it's somewhere between a politician and an orthopedic surgeon in intelligence.
To you politicians and orthopedic surgeons, no offense. There is one seal just hanging out here. Must love the ice because there's plenty of ice-free area, and he or she is right on the ice. It's a Weddell or Weddell seal. Why is there not more life here? No penguins, no...
Penguins need access to the open ocean. So on the outside, actually you can walk. It's about an hour and a half, pretty good walk over a 900-foot ridge. You can walk over down to the other side, and there's about 80,000 breeding pairs of chinstraps right over the hill there. There's an even larger colony I went to one time out on the shore on the other side that there's about 125, 130,000 pairs.
Right.
So they're big aggregations all the way around the outside, but not on the inside.
Okay, so there are penguins, but we just haven't seen them.
More or less.